we're so vulnerable, we're afraid to be seen as vulnerable. Like
Right.
we have our vulnerabilities, but that can be a strength. That's not a weakness. And it shows that very human side of us. And we can turn those fears and anxieties and vulnerabilities into something bigger.
I agree with that. And if I can add on to it just a little bit, it's to just live in your truth. Work on your self-development and live in your truth and just understand that everybody's created differently and there's no need to try to fit in.
Martin James, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Sarah. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. It's great to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on. Tell me about your love for acting and how you got started in that.
So my love for acting started when I was a kid. My actually route, if you will, to the performing arts was dancing. I seen my brother perform in theater, and my father also performed in theater when me and my brother were kids. And as we were growing up, we saw footage of our dad performing. So it was, it really started at a young age for me. And when I started dancing, I used to see my brother perform on stage, and he would do theater, and we just honestly switched roles. Now I'm also a twin, so my brother's 2 minutes older than me. And it was just the coolest thing to help him go over scripts, to kind of help him figure out character study, if you will. We're young, we're in theater, we're kids, not knowing much about acting, but I guess entry level at that point. But it all really came from my dad and my brother. So it wasn't until I actually got into the field, I guess off the bench and into the field, to where I was like, this is a completely different ball game. This is very exciting, but also not what I expected at the same time. What I mean by that is it takes a lot of work. It's not just your looks. I remember with my coach, he used to drill me on learning text, working on character study, and just making a backstory, just a little bit of something to give you enough ammunition to present. Right. So it's been nonetheless a lot of fun. You meet a lot of cool people, and I'm just excited to see what we can really do. So
Yeah. How do you
yeah.
handle script analysis? What's your process for that?
Well, during the audition process, let's say they will go ahead and send you sides, right? I would automatically assume that this would be the part of the scene that's kind of heavy on dialogue for the character that they're interested in you to play. So I mean, I just dive in it. I don't have any sort of method. I just want to read it first. Just keep it super blank. I don't want to cast any judgment. I don't want to make any so-called, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but I don't want to make any judgment right off of the bat. I just want to read what I'm sent. And then to really not be nervous and go ahead and try something, make a decision and really stick to it. If your character has heavy dialogue, if it's one paragraph and it's 5 sentences, we'll say, this is how I'm breaking it down. Really take your time to absorb what your character is trying to say and try to figure out different words in the text. Definitely memorize the text. You know, you don't want to show up on set and not be prepared and not be memorized. I find that that's one thing as well. Sure, let's improvise, but at the same time, let's also have some type of criteria that we're following too.
Right, absolutely. Do you ever have a moment where you really feel that your character is maybe going in one direction or is taking on certain attributes, but the director, kind of has a different idea?
Um, that would happen off of instinct sometimes. It could be when we're on set. It could be when we're on the drive up there talking about ideas. It's until honestly until you hear action and see what you get. It is a collaboration at the end of the day. It is the director going 100%, the actor going 100%. And then also, we can never not give a shout out to the crew, the people in lighting, the people who hold the mics. They have cooler names than that, I'm sure, that I just don't know about. And I have friends that are in that category as well, and I don't want to let them down, but to also give them a lot of light and love, because without them, there is no film, there is no project at the same time. But I feel like it is having the director who is set on a certain idea and having the actor, giving the actor enough time to prepare, and then just meet in the middle and see what you get. There are times to where it was expected to go this way and you go this way, and sometimes that may work. You know, you really don't know until you try. So, but that has happened to me a few times. Yeah.
How have you seen things change and grow for you over the course of your career so far?
For me, I didn't really take acting seriously. Seriously, I'll be honest with you, Sarah. until this year. I sent out my first official audition, if you will. The date around my sister's birthday. Her birthday is September 23rd. So I think it was the 24th or 22nd, something like that. And I didn't hear anything back. So I was I was like, okay, all right, starting off on a great foot in a sense, right? But for me, I need to just give it a shot. I'm a hands-on type of person. So I need to go through it so I can kind of respond and receive and get the feedback on my own in a sense. But yeah, I didn't really take it seriously until this year. And I ended up having, I was auditioning throughout the year last year, starting from September. January was when I was kind of losing my mind in a sense, because I ended up getting 7 callbacks and I didn't know what to do. I'm using my phone, reaching out to people as resources to get feedback to kind of figure out how do I break down an audition. Now, mind you, I did have an acting coach that did help me a lot, and I do recommend getting an acting coach in the beginning and also keeping one on hand. So I also understand that an acting coach is also an investment. And if you're really taking your craft serious in any field, you would invest in somebody who's gone in front of you and who's kind of paving the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to an acting coach, I will say that it's just super crucial. Like I come from a background of theater, so getting introduced to film was a completely different ball game. Again, in theater, you got to be big, you got to be drastic, you got to be loud, you got to have like provide that energy. And then with film, you're on screen. It's very tiny, so any sudden movement. So we worked a lot on subtlety, which I think is a great thing to have.
Yeah, that's a great thing to bring up. The differences between theater on camera and then voice acting is a whole other ball game that I got into a couple of years ago for the first time, and it was like, wow, I really like this because
Yeah.
it's just it's a little bit cozier. You don't have to worry about your body language. It's all in your voice. It's still very difficult though, all the different inflections and tones.
Extremely difficult for me. I again needing to be the type of person to go through it to kind of get a full feel for it, if that's the correct way of putting it. This project that I just did with my buddy Corey Hour, which I know we're going to dive into, but just to quickly touch on, that was my first time doing, I guess, for doing voiceover. So I've never had done anything voiceover related before. I had a few projects to where I played like a news reporter, like I wasn't shown, but you just heard my voice. But that was just like a few lines. But this one was a full on, yeah, let's try something different. I was like, okay, cool, let's try it.
Yeah, it's fun. I love all three. I guess since theater is sort of where my background is, there's just something, the adrenaline rush of going out there and you don't get multiple takes,
Right.
you don't get to stop. What you do is what you've got. And there's just that it's like a high. I don't know. There's a theater high. And I just love that performance, where you just get out there, you do it, you get off stage and you're done.
Same thing in the dancing realm too. You're on stage, no different than theater. And it's like you only get one shot to memorize the steps, to remember the pauses. If you're doing a duet, for example, male, female, make sure that you guys understand the choreography, nobody gets injured. And at the end of the day, you want to sell it, you want to have fun. So work on the facial expressions and definitely work on the body language. But yeah, it's they're related, theater and dance.
Well, yeah. So I was going to ask you how your dancing helps you in your acting.
Um, I would say in a performance sense, needing like to be on stage, I do feed off of people's energy. It is quite exciting to have the right group around you, an audience that's engaging, that's into it. I would say just in a performance standpoint, not being uncomfortable, I guess, to miss a step, to try something different when it comes to choreography, trying something different, thinking outside the box. But the way dancing helped me in theater, I would just say didn't really stop me from putting myself out there. I kind of learned that pretty young. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite role that you've portrayed,
Um,
or maybe like your dream role? Like if you could get
I
cast
like I
in
like bad guys. I'll be honest with you. I like the villains. I like the people. I also love the good guys at the same time. Maybe I shave the beard off. We'll do something a bit more soft and gentle that way. I don't know what I'm saying, but I think
anything.
villains are a lot cooler. Just being and just going to the movies and just being a fan of film myself, which is also another reason why I wanted to be an actor. Just watching villains is always fun.
They're more fun to play. I don't know. There's something about being evil in the moment. You're not really evil, you know, but you get to kind of go into that world because it's easy to be the good guy. Well, for me, it's easy to be, you know, the good guy. It's like,
Yeah.
but when you can kind of explore a whole other side of the human psyche, you know, it's very interesting.
You're not as restricted, I don't think. Like, yes, as an actor, you're restricted in a certain sense, but if you're an actor that's put in a bad guy role, you kind of have so much to your advantage because bad guys could be a little sloppy, sometimes not thinking straight. You know what I mean? And towards the end of a film, if you will, they kind of give like the reason why he's doing everything he's doing, and in his
Yes.
mind, I'm thinking of we'll say for example, Avengers, Thanos being the bad guy. He's thinking that he's serving a purpose. He's thinking that, yo, I have reasonable facts to why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and of course, at the end of the day, it's wrong, but he's so convinced. So I guess as a job of being a bad guy is to convince the audience in a sense. And if you can convince the audience, you're winning that game.
Yeah, I talk about this a lot when I'm teaching classes and things that, you know, the bad guy doesn't see himself as the bad guy. You know,
Right.
he's got a justification for every, he or she has a justification for everything they're doing. So
Right.
they don't, at the end of the day, they're good. They've got, you know, they've got their own moral compass and maybe everybody else is bad. So
Right.
you have to get into that mindset, which just makes it even more interesting, I think, to
I
play.
agree 100%.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
awesome. Okay, so tell me about the difference between having an agent and not having an agent and what you've learned in that process.
I'll tell you right now, I love having an agent. I know from January of this year, from January to I think June was until I signed a contract with Signature Models and Talent. They're based here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I kind of don't know how to explain that, to be honest with you, Sarah, because I've only been signed with them for 2 months and the experience has been awesome. So we're a commercial market here in Arizona. So that's a lot of the bookings that they'll send, which I think is great because it's good practice for me. It's in front of the camera, but a little different. And it's just been an awesome experience. I can't really give a full should people sign with an agency until I get like my 2 years experience with them, you know, because I like speaking out of experience. But what I will say without being signed to an agency, I mean, just get the experience, really. You can work. How I started with Arizona actors is really started on Facebook. I leverage social media. I'm posting IG stories. I'm reaching out to people. And it's people that you enjoy watching, people that you enjoy doing, like seeing them do what they do. And it does take a lot of work, but from being signed to not being signed, it is a different ball game, you know, because you do have people that are counting on you, and then you also do have people that are working for you at the same time. Just because you have an agent or a manager, remember at the end of the day, you also do have leverage too. So I need people to understand that you're hiring these people to work for you. Also, at the same time, there needs to be like a partnership. There needs to be a teamwork there at the same time. So I love the fact that the agency that I'm with, they really focus on morals and what they're trying to get their talents. They listen to their talent, and it's not so much on the opportunity. It's they have our best interest at heart. So that's what I can tell you about the agency that I'm with, and I've only seen that in just a short amount of time, which is cool.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you brought up about teamwork because it really is teamwork. And an agent is an advocate for you. You know, it's someone that goes to bat for you, that's out there, that's should be helping you. If you've got a good agent, they are advocating for you and really, you know, making sure that that you're taken care of and that your best interests, you know, are put first. So that's
Absolutely. I mean, of course, everybody is trying to make money. It is a business. It is a market for that, obviously, but there is also ways to go about it too, you know. So
yeah. Well, so I was scrolling through your Instagram and I was really glad to see so much inspiration that you're posting, and just kind of, you know, help for other people. So tell me a little bit about, because do you do public speaking or are you kind of you do some motivational speaking as well?
I would love to do public speaking. I don't see why. I mean, right away when you said, "Do you do public speaking?" and my ears heard that, I got a little bit of anxiety, if you will, but in such a good way, though. Let me tell you, Sarah, in such a good way, because a lot of the times it used to be, what are these people going to think of me? How am I going to look? What am I going to say? How am I going to prepare? And then it slowly became, you just need to show up. I mean, if it's an audition, if it's to help somebody out, if it's to be consistent with the gym, if it's to do your homework, wake up early, lifestyle change, whatever the case may be, you just have to show up. So for me, in public speaking, I would need to show up for myself so I can help other people, because I know it's not, oh, Martin James the actor, Martin James the stylist, or Martin James the personal trainer. It's Martin James, and he wants to be known as being a servant first. Everything else would be just a bonus. You know what I mean? And for me, it is a lot. I am godly based. I am very much a man of my faith and staying anchored in my faith and not being easily shaken when it comes to that. So for me, it's putting myself outside of my, it's bigger than me, I guess, if that answers your question. So I would like to do it.
Well, no, that's awesome. That's like the best moment of the whole show right now so far is you saying that we have to show up. And because we are so many times, and we talk about this all the time, how we're all there's fears. We have so many things that we hold ourselves back.
Right.
And yeah, being willing to just go out there and just show up. And I need that reminder. So that was, man, yeah, we just have to show up. And I have so many like little anxiety moments where I'm like, I don't know, was this right? Or was that right? Or should I do this? And you're right. At the end of the day, just show up.
Sometimes it's not hard to show up for yourself. You got to keep in mind it's all in your mindset. So anybody who's a human has gone through something, and it could be something that's caused them to be depressed, caused them to have anxiety. Their breathing pattern is now changed because when the anxiety hits there, it's a lot shorter. So they're not able to catch a full breath. So here come panic attacks. There's trauma. There's so much stuff that we've gone through to where we have to take a moment and separate ourselves. I've understood that self-development, and not only self-development, but well-needed isolation is critical, because being in show business, being very hands-on, and some people may maneuver in a sense of what's next, what's out there for me. You have to really take time for yourself, because there is going to be a time, if you're working for something really hard, to where you will book a busy schedule. I don't see that not working out for anybody if we don't try, right? And then also being anchored in our faith. So a
Yeah.
lot of the times it is working on your mindset and giving yourself that time to kind of not be with everybody for a little bit. It's okay to understand you're different. Different is actually a gift, and it's a gift from God, and it's unique, and not everybody needs to look the same. Not everybody needs to walk or talk the same. It's okay to be different. I like the word different. I love the word weird, because I feel like it's the normal people that kind of scare me in a sense, and scare me is the wrong word, but it's the normal people that. But I mean, yeah, it's to also have the right circle around you. Yes, be a part of an agency that believes in you, but also at the same time be around family that believes in you, be around friends that believe in you. A lot of the times it could um, come from within the family. It could come from within the circle. The more you start to get in your purpose, it's the more, can I just say it? The more you get into purpose, the more the devil is going to try and get in your way. It could be in the form of distractions. It could be in the form to try to get you emotionally. Sarah, I like to ramble. I don't mean to ramble.
No, you're fine. And that's great. And what I'm trying to get better about is vocalizing things that bother me or that I'm afraid of or that I'm
Mhm.
worried about, and being really honest with people around me and with my support system and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this right now. Because
Mhm.
I think so many times we hold it inside, our fears and our struggles and our anxieties, and just opening up and just saying it out loud, to someone that you can trust, who's there for you. And like you said, having that support system is huge.
Absolutely.
But I'd love to see all of us, share things with each other more. And I think we're so vulnerable, we're afraid to be seen as vulnerable,
Right.
looking at our vulnerabilities. But that can be a strength. That's not a weakness, because it's a very human thing, and it shows that very human side of us. And we can turn that those fears and anxieties and vulnerabilities into something bigger. I don't
I
know.
agree with that. And if I can add on to it just a little bit, it's to just live in your truth, work on your self development and live in your truth, and just understand that everybody's created differently, and there's no need to try to fit in. How are we going to build something great if we all try to fit in? Yes, we need other people, but don't worry about it. You're good. God got us. So
I love the uniqueness of every individual.
yeah.
I just, oh, It's wonderful.
And there is a lot of strength and vulnerability too. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and get told no a million times, because it's constant feedback. You need that criticism. Criticism depends on where it's coming from. It depends on what field you're trying to go to. Yes, be thick-skinned, but also at the same time, don't let somebody take advantage of you.
Right.
That's where working on your self-development will come in, because you'll know the difference. So
Yeah, I don't know where it started that we all got told that it's not okay to be afraid and you have to hide that from people and try to put on a brave face all the time, because that's not realistic, you know?
yeah, I mean, it could be from, I'll go back to the circle, going back to the circle of friends, going back to the circle of family. I know for me and my family, yes, I was inspired by my father. Yes, I was inspired by my brother, but they weren't. It's situational for everybody, but they didn't go for it in a sense. They went for it differently. You know, my brother is now into working for an IT company, and he's a tech whiz. He's always loved phones, laptops, building computers. He's very good at that stuff. So, and he's making really good money doing that. And more importantly, he's happy doing that. You know what I'm saying? So as long as we can kind of find something that makes us happy, that's cool. But for me, my inspiration was taking what they were not able to do, be inspired by that, and let me see how far I can take that. You know, so it's not about me. It's kind of bigger than myself to build that, you
Yeah.
know.
What do they think about it?
In the beginning, it was tough getting their support, not in a bad way, but it's like there's no security in wanting to be a full-time actor. There's no safety in wanting to be a full-time actor. So yes, you find a side gig, you find a side hustle, and that's like your little bread and butter. And this is your career. And being that you're not making income in it right away, they want you to find something to focus more on. For example, school, for example, a full-time gig that's going to take away from that, you know. And again, it's situational, because when I signed with my agency, they were sending me stuff. Within a week and a half, I was already getting um, asked to submit for videos, forward my information, you know. So I wasn't able to be consistent with working a full-time job. So I needed to find a part-time gig and do a little side hustle to where I can still have the freedom in case I needed to go audition. But with my family, it was tough getting them on board. But I think once they started seeing me book and networking and seeing the projects that I'm coming out with, they slowly started developing that faith. You know, I mean, if you believe in yourself, people have no choice but to believe in you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and that's hard. I mean, that's still a trend, people thinking that a lot of things in the arts is not stable, or but yeah, there's so many ways to make it work. And if you've got, something beautiful to put out in the world, you shouldn't stifle that just for stability or just for somebody else's wishes and wants. So I'm really glad that you're out there doing that and you're showing other people, that we can do this. We can make
Yeah,
it work. It may be hard, but we can do
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say it is hard. It is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of sleeping late, waking up early. Sometimes you're missing meals because everybody's just so on it and just killing it. The lighting setup, you guys just killed the scene. We're about to do another one. It's 8 hours in. You know, for example, Hunter was a 16-hour day. Sure, we stopped because it was just me and the director, and that was a cool experience within itself. But when you get rolling, sometimes you forget to drink water. Sometimes you forget to eat because everything's just working, you know? So
Well, what's your advice for people who are pursuing the arts or acting specifically?
I would definitely say go for it. I would also say get a coach in the realm of what you want to do. And again, we covered the difference between theater and television and film. There's also commercials. So there's different coaches for different categories. Find out what you enjoy and start there. But then again, also be open to everything else at the same time. I will say this, Sarah, that we don't know what we look like to somebody else. We may hear what we sound like or whatever the case is, but when we, for example, improvise or do something off of instinct, we don't know what that looks like. You know what I mean? So stop being afraid.
Oh, all right. There you go. That we're
I
gonna
mean,
clip that.
it's
We're
the
clipping
truth.
that.
It's the
Not being
truth. I
afraid.
mean, because I said that a lot already, not being afraid, showing up for yourself, but you actually have to follow through with it because you'll try, and I don't know if divorcing it is the right word, but you'll try and think if this isn't right for you for so long until it's just going to keep knocking at your door. So the only way you could really figure it out is if you answer the door and walk through and see what happens. So
Yeah. What's your
yeah,
favorite inspirational quote?
I have so many of them off the top of my head. I feel like go through the filing cabinets. um, I mean, I could say the one that Will Smith quoted from Confucius, he who says he can and he who says he can't, they're both usually right. And I think that ties into what we're talking about right now. Because whether you think you're able or you're not able, you're going to end up being right. So,
Wow. Yeah. Mindset.
yeah, absolutely. It's everything is mindset. No matter what business endeavor you want to do, no matter what career path you want to choose, I feel like it's all about mindset. Absolutely.
It is. Well, tell me about Hunter. I watched the trailer and blew me away. You guys filmed this in Sedona, which is gorgeous. Love Sedona. So tell me about the experience with this film.
So the experience was nothing short of amazing. It took me out of my element. It took the director out of his element. First of all, it was shot by Corey Hour, super amazing cinematographer, super amazing director. He's been a great friend of mine for a long time, and we always challenge each other and push each other. We've worked on two other projects, I believe, prior to this one, and he was in town from California, and he calls me, he goes, "Hey, bro, I got this cool idea." And just knowing him and how he likes to work and how he likes to set things up, I'm like, bro, I'm on board. Didn't even take that long, right? But I mean, I don't even know where to start because it was so cool. It was challenging, I will say, because it was a 16-hour day. It was very taxing on my mind, on my body. But
Was it all outside? Was it
some of it was I mean, we were inside of a cave for a little bit. I would consider that being outside, but yeah, majority was outside. We were specifically in Sedona, and the trail that we took was Soldier Rock, I believe, if I'm remembering, Soldier Creek. And it was so awesome. You get the red rock, you get the full forest scene, that vibe. And Hunter was pretty cool because it's exactly that. Like I got to play a character who's out in the forest. And I know a challenge that Corey had threw on the table was he wants to work with less tools and let's focus more on craft. So his challenge was, yo, bro, I came across this cool camera. It's a 14-year-old camera. I want to see what we can do with it. It's also to show people that you don't need much. At the same time, you can simply start with a small investment and come up with something cool. You know what I mean? And then for me, from an acting standpoint, a 16-hour shooting day, trying to get into character, doing your research as being a hunter. You know, obviously I'm not a real hunter, so trying to do a little bit of research, draw some inspiration, and then just let the creativity just wander. It was very cool. There was a river scene where we hopped into the river and he goes, "Bro, you want to do it?" I felt the water and I was like, I couldn't even think twice. The water was freezing. If I thought longer, I would have said no. But I just jumped in and it was definitely it was good after a long day, actually. It was perfect. I guess shower in the river, you know. So it was cool.
Did you guys have a script that you worked with?
The script we actually developed later. He did have the voiceover part, which you guys hear, which was kind of challenging for me because I wanted to say some stuff in the film. I wanted to do a little something, but again, wanting to challenge us and take me out of my element and take him out of our element, he wanted to add the voiceover later. So it was a lot of just working. And you said body language earlier, so to kind of circle back to that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so tell me a little bit about the story.
So the story is about a guy, right? And he's part of a squad, part of a team. Maybe he's the elder, if you will, in a sense of age and also skills. So maybe he made a promise to protect his team, and he something had happened. We were hired to go get some government paperwork. We end up getting there. What we expected wasn't what we thought we were ready for, and maybe the lights cut out, whatever the case may be, and we get attacked by an unknown creature. We have no idea. We're checking out footprints. We're like, this isn't a human foot, you know? So it's kind of based off of a little bit of survival, a little bit of revenge, depression, because I did make a promise to these people and they were a big part of my life, and it's kind of traumatic in a sense too. So he did tell me that he is wanting to continue shooting it because we've been getting a lot of cool feedback on it, and I'm just like, dude, let's go. I'm ready. So
Awesome. And
yeah.
where can people find them? Maybe can we view it yet? I know it hit the festival circuit, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I know, yeah, I know right now Corey's in California doing his thing, and he's actually going to be back in a few days, and we're going to end up getting on the phone with each other and just try to plan something out. I'm just trying to get everything scheduled, so when it's time to go, we can just focus on what we're doing. But for the festivals, I think that would be a great idea. Right now, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only platform that we have it out on right now.
Very
Yeah,
cool. People need to check that out
yeah,
because The scenery alone is stunning, but yeah, it's very, the way it was captured, the cinematography is beautiful. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's fantastic. And it's, I love, you can really tell, just, with your acting, with the way that you're moving and just from what I saw, you can really get a sense of the mood and the emotion, and each scene and what's happening. So you did a great job with that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well,
Thank
what's
you.
next for you? What do you have going on? What's coming up?
I want to take a little rest, if that's okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not attached to any project right
That's
now.
a thing. We can
I'm
rest.
looking, oh, man,
We're allowed to rest.
we have to. So we have to stay fresh and charge our creative batteries. So
Yes.
for me right now, I'm not on a project right now. I am looking and dabbling at a few projects. There's still a bunch of people that I want to work with out here in Arizona after like the bill honestly setting us on fire for more inspiration because it passed, so starting in Tucson and in Scottsdale, it's going to be pretty crazy the next few weeks, next few weeks, sorry, next few months, next few years, but not currently attached to anything and kind of happy about it. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. We'll see.
All right. Well, where can we find you?
On Instagram and on Facebook at Martin James. Instagram is Martin James Did It.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on the show.
So much, Sarah. It's been such a pleasure. And I hope to do this again. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Come back anytime. Come and co-host with me. We'll have a blast.
That would be cool. That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
All
That'd
right.
be a lot of fun.
Well, have a great rest of your week and go rest. And thank you for all of your wisdom because
Thank you,
you
Sarah.
talked about some things that even I needed to really take to heart today. So thank you.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.